Alphabet Man, tearing down the strongholds, exposing the darkness, wrecking the enemy's plans. Endurance till the end. It's time for the Alphabet Man Live.
Good morning. So we were just talking about rashes and stuff in the pre-show, and thank you, Vinny. I needed that. Actually, we were talking about CBD oil. This week, I posted on my Twitter. I posted that I found a premium product that offers some amazing relief, and it is exactly what my body needed at that time. The aches and pains of driving, of being awake, of not getting sufficient sleep, just from everything. And my cousins in New Jersey, they have a health food store called the Honey Tree, and you can find them at thehoneytree.net. But this coffee helped me a lot. And so the other day I was having a cup with my mom, and I posted it, and somebody that follows me posted back, and they said, well, that's not, be very careful, because that's basically marijuana. And I had to say, well, no, basically it's really not marijuana. It's CBD oil, which is one compound of the marijuana plant, one of many different compounds. And if it is a high quality CBD oil, then you don't have to worry about testing positive for marijuana, because there's no THC in a high quality CBD oil. The low quality, yeah, because they don't, the THC is in the low quality because it's not extracted correctly. But anyway, I just wanted to clear up any misconceptions anybody had that CBD oil was marijuana, because it's not. Mind you, I would never smoke marijuana for relief, because we shouldn't be smoking anything. But yeah, I will use medicinal plants. Because why? Because they're natural. Don says the best part of waking up is CBD in your cup. I don't know about that. Oh man. So Coach Dave and some Ohio brothers from the huddle are heading home from Florida today. So keep them in your prayers for traveling mercies. Some brothers and sisters are remaining in Florida to continue with the hurricane relief. And so I just say, if you're able, please go to Coach's website and give for this project, give for the hurricane relief. Look, they've done so much down there, and they have shed light into so many lives down there. And this is what we're called for, folks. This is the gospel, okay? Getting out and introducing people to Jesus Christ through word, through deed, and through action. That is what we're called to. So if you can, go to Coach's website today and give, and just give $1, give $5, give $10, give $100, give what you can. The hurricane in Florida was a tragedy, right? And it still is a tragedy for the many people who live in the aftermath, and they can't afford to just rebuild or to just relocate. They have to deal with what they have before them. And so when the Salt and Light and Past the Salt Ministries comes in there, and they help get trees off the homes, and they help clean up the yards, and they help people, give them food, and give them hygiene products, and help them. Guess what? That's the gospel. That's what we're called to do. A lot of people down there, they can't afford to hire somebody to come out there with equipment. That these men in the huddle are bringing down there their own equipment, and they're bringing it down there, and they're doing all of this for nothing. They're not even doing it for a pat on the back. They're doing it because the love of God dwells within them. and they're expressing it, and they're going to allow him to be poured out, because they're going to pour out what they receive so freely. So if you can, go to the website and give. I was thinking about all the tragedies, and tragedies come in all shapes and all sizes, and everyone thinks that their tragedy is more serious or more intense than someone else's tragedy. And you know what? They're right in their own eyes. Some tragedies are unavoidable, like the hurricane in Florida. That was unavoidable. Many tragedies have struck so many different regions of the world that we see them. We can go back in history and look, and we see tsunamis and hurricanes and earthquakes and tornadoes, and the list goes on and the list goes on. And then we have the tragedies of the worldly. And how about the tragedies of the demon possessed? Like shootings, mass murders, rapes, molestations, and then there's always the tragedies that hit home. Like, how about when someone that we love and care for suffers a tragedy of their own? What then? You see, when disasters and tragedies strike, there's a lot of questions that are asked, a lot of questions that are raised. Like, why did it happen? Did God make it happen? If God didn't make this happen, then why did he allow it to happen? What can I do about it? What can I do because of it? Can I do anything good in this situation? And how could this happen to me? How could this happen to my family? What kind of God would allow this to happen? Why? So when we're talking about natural disasters, it's easy to call them acts of God. And perhaps this is because God has used natural disasters in the past. We got the flood in Genesis. We can look at the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis 18 and 19. And we have famine, drought, pestilence, plague, war, and the earthquake against Israel in Amos. Let's go to Amos chapter 4, 6 through 12. And it says, "And I also have given you cleanness of teeth in all your cities, and want of bread in all your places. And yet ye not, and yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord." Sounds like God used a natural disaster in this situation. "And also I have withholden the rain from you, when there were yet 3 months to the harvest, and I caused it to rain upon one city, and caused it not to rain upon another city. One piece was rained upon, and the piece whereupon it rained not withered. So 2 or 3 cities wandered unto one city to drink water, but they were not satisfied. Yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord. I have smitten you with blasting and mildew when your gardens and your vineyards and your fig trees and your olive trees increased. The palmer worm devoured them. Yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord." "I have sent among you the pestilence after the manner of Egypt. Your young men have I slain with the sword, and have taken away your horses. And I have made the stink of your camps to come unto your nostrils. Yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord. I have overthrown some of you, as God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And ye were as a firebrand plucked out of the burning. Yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord. Therefore, thus will I do unto thee, O Israel, because I will do this unto thee. Prepare to meet thy God. Wow. And even though we know that God has used natural disasters in the past, it would be a great mistake for us to attribute all disasters to the hands of God. See, some disasters are part of a natural process. You know, like in a planet's growth or transformation. And so God simply allows such events to run their course according to what? According to time and chance. And so many experiences tragedies due to no fault of their own. Ecclesiastes 9:11 says, I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happens to them all. For man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in the evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snares, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time when it falleth suddenly upon them. And you know what, beloved? Some disasters are our own fault. Some disasters are man-made. What was the Chernobyl? How about when faulty bridges collapse? That's not an act of God. That's an act of man. And how about some forest fires? Huh, Don? We know about them, right? But that's tinfoil hat stuff, and we don't do that on this show. We'll save that for Coach. You know, those forest fires? But what about tragedies that plague this world involving mankind, the worldly and the demon-possessed? What about the tragedies that plague the world that involve mankind as murderers, as pedophiles, as rapists, as thieves, as batterers, as liars, adulterers, and so on and so on? Suffering often does come upon the innocent. We can go to Job chapter 1 and start at verse 8. Then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? There is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and that showeth evil. He shuns evil and he fears God. None like him upon this earth. So Satan answered the Lord and said, does Job fear God for nothing? Has not thou made an hedge about him and about his house and about all that he has on every side? Have you not gave him all of this, Lord, and cushioned him and put a hedge of protection around him? Of course he loves you. Look at all you've given him. But now stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. And the Lord said to Satan, behold, all that he has is in your power. Only do not lay a hand on his person. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Sorry, I just lost my place there for a moment. And there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabaeans fell upon them and took them away. Somebody comes and say, hey, guess what? All your stuff is gone. All your oxen, your donkeys. Somebody came, they raided them and took them away. And indeed, they have killed the servants with the edge of the sword. And I alone escaped just to be able to tell you this. And then while he was still speaking, another man came in and said, oh my God, the fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them all. And I alone have escaped just to be able to come and tell you this. And then while he was speaking, there came yet another one. It said the Chaldeans made out 3 bands and fell upon the camels and have carried them away. They took them. They took the camels, and then they killed the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped just to tell you. But while he was still speaking, came another one and said, hey, Job, your children, your sons and your daughters were eating and drinking wine in their brother's house. And then here comes a great wind that came and across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, and the house fell on the young people, and now they're all dead, Job. I alone have escaped to come tell you this. Everything that you owned and or cherished is gone. And then Job arose and he tore his robe and he shaved his head. Or he rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell upon the ground and worshipped. He did what? He didn't wail. He didn't curse. He didn't throw anything. He didn't blame anyone. He worshipped. And he said, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all of this, he didn't charge God with any wrong. Through each and every incident, each and every message, each and every tragedy that happened back to back, he sinned not, nor did he charge God foolishly. He never once turned on the Lord. And let us not make the mistake of Job's friends, presuming guilt on those who suffer tragedy, as it says in Job chapter 42, verse 7. And it was so that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against thee and against thy two friends, for ye have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job has. You see, they were of the kind of the liking to say, if you're suffering, if you're going through something, if you're broke, if you're sick, then it's because you're not right with God. Well, that's a lie from the pits of hell. Shoot, if you're being attacked and you're losing everything, my mouth, bear with me. Oh, if you're losing everything and you're being attacked around every corner, it probably means you're in a right relationship. You're a righteous man or woman. Because if the enemy is coming at you so hard, it's because you're doing or getting ready to do something that he wants to stop. I mean, we can look at Paul, 2 Corinthians, Jared, chapter 11. Let's start at verse 23, where Paul says, are they ministers of Christ? I speak as a fool. I am more. In labors more abundant, in stripes above measure, in prisons more frequently, in deaths often. From the Jews 5 times I received 40 stripes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I suffered shipwreck. A night and a day I have been in the deep. In journeys often, in perils of water, in perils of robbers, in perils of mine own countrymen, in perils by the heathen, in perils in the city, in perils in the wilderness, in perils in the sea, in perils among false brethren, in perils amongst those wolves, in weariness and toil, in sleeplessness often, in hunger and thirst, in fastings often, in cold and nakedness. Even Paul knew that his suffering was not in vain. He knew that his suffering was for the sake of Jesus, and he accepted it as a testimony. He accepted it as a tool, and he used that tool to do God's will, to do God's work, to do what he was commissioned to do. And so somebody asked me, if God didn't cause this tragedy, then why does he allow it to happen? Which really can bring us to an overall problem of suffering. And God may allow suffering for several reasons. Perhaps it keeps this world from becoming too attractive, encouraging us to seek something better. See, we're reminded in Matthew chapter 6, in verses 19 through 21, where it says, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust can corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. You see, sometimes suffering a personal tragedy or watching a disaster unfold on the news or in person, whether it be a natural disaster or man-made, it can bring out the best in some people. It can bring about patience and generosity and change of heart for many. Some may blame God for something that happens to them instead of seeing that if it was not for God, that it could have been and would have been much worse. See, in Romans chapter 5, verse 3 and 4, it tells us that we should glory in all tribulations, because keeping in mind, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance, character. I'm reading from the NASB. The KJV says, and not only, or glory in tribulations, also knowing that tribulation brings about patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. In James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4, it says, my brethren, this was one of my go-to verses when I first came out of the world. I said, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith works patience, brings about patience. And then let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. That you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. And then there's times when tragedies and disasters encourage people to think of God and to draw near to him in repentance. Whenever the innocent and the righteous die, we should bear in mind that Psalm 116:15 says the death of the righteous is precious in the sight of God. Isaiah said the death of the righteous removes them from all suffering and evil. See, the death of the righteous is truly a blessing. And it tells us that in Revelation 14. In Revelation 14, verse 13, it says, then I heard a voice from heaven saying to me, write, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yeah, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors and their works do follow them. See, disasters and tragedies can result in so much good. My brother's sudden death, his massive heart attack, it brought about so much fruit. Family was reunited after so many years of being separated and having animosity for one another. Relationships were healed because of the tragedy of my brother's death. Don't allow the mishaps and the faults and the tragedies and the circumstances and the nonsense and the every other little bit of chaos that comes your way to make you or break you. Allow it to help you focus on the cross. When the afflictions come, welcome the afflictions and allow the affliction to keep you focused on Jesus. You have a blessed weekend, Lord willing. I'll see you Tuesday morning. Monday morning, Coach Dave will be hosting the show for me as I have a medical procedure coming up Monday. And so, Lord willing, I'll see you Tuesday morning. Have a blessed weekend. Peace.